blazing.
Okay,
Cause
that
the
right there.
cause the Lord done started talking, and now she gonna come in guns a blazing. When we give you an opportunity to go ahead and come out
But
I
I'm
ain't gonna say
orange.
nothing else later on. Down on hush.
Stop starting. Stop, bro. Stop starting stuff.
All right, let me know we on.
We are live,
All
ladies
right,
and
y'all, come
gents.
on up in this room. This is your girl, your sister, your cousin, your auntie, your friend, Dr. Candace Williams, right here with my brother and my sister with the Trinity Co-op, live and on your side. How about that? Come on in and tell the people who's your faith.
Yes, come on. Hey, y'all. It is Evangelist Rhonda Harris here. Thank you for joining us on tonight. Powerful conversation, and we want you to plug in. We want you to ask questions, make comments on the Facebook page so that we can have a dialogue with you on tonight about what we're talking about. But we welcome you. We welcome you. Again, it's just me. It's just me. It's on you, bruh.
Hey, this is your boy, your cousin. I'm gonna say your uncle. No, I ain't gonna say. I ain't trying to
Yeah,
be.
please
Can
do
I? Can
that.
I be old enough to be an uncle? I'm old
Be
enough
the
to be an
uncle.
You
uncle.
old enough to be an uncle?
Uncle,
They having
brother.
them young now, bro.
That's
Come on
true.
here.
That's true. That's a whole nother conversation right there. But listen, this is Pastor Ken Funderburk, aka Ken Bishop, Called Out Ministries and Faith and Fire podcast. Guess what? We are simultaneously streaming to YouTube as well. So welcome to our YouTube family for all
Come
those that are
on.
on. So we're excited about you being present on this evening. I'm excited about what we're talking about. Can I say what we're talking about? I'm not gonna start, but I do want to
Go
Please
say what we're
ahead.
talking
You
do.
about.
can
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
man.
Listen, we are talking about giving and receiving.
Yes.
Giving and receiving. I am so excited about this conversation because reciprocity is important to me. Reciprocity is the building
That's the
block
word.
for how society functions in a holistic and optimized, optimistic manner. Without reciprocity, a lot of things start to fall apart. So, this giving and receiving, I'm so excited about talking about this, and I'm looking forward to how this unpacks because I certainly have my thoughts on the matter.
You know what? It's so important because number one, let us just start and talk about how in John 3:16, the most basic elementary scripture, but yet the most profound scripture in the whole Bible. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave. We're gonna start right there because it takes a sacrifice. A sacrifice. When you really love something or someone, it takes a sacrifice for you to give up all. But on the flip side of that giving of their all in that sacrificial way is that receiving side to we have ability to make a choice to receive what was freely given.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Mm-hmm.
up to us. Whosoever will, let him or her come. You have to choose to receive from this love here. But as it relates to relationship, because that's the ultimate. And I want to piggyback on what we talked about on Tuesday, because you talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's the pinnacle. That's the top part right there of maximizing your full potential. And Jesus certainly did that. He maximized his full potential by sacrificing his life so that we can have life and have that more abundantly. But now he's given us the ability to receive. But as it relates to relationship, God and Jesus modeled that. So now it's time for us to show that love right here in this earth realm. But how do we do that? How do we show giving and receiving? What does that even look like? Because some
Mm.
folks, they don't know what they look like. Some people have never really truly experienced the maximum of love. The maximum. They haven't experienced those things. They had a taste of it, a whiff of it. But what does that really look like?
Mm.
So, Lady Rhonda, do you want to?
Mm-mm. I'm gonna
Okay.
let you plug in first.
Oh, see, thank you. I just, I'm trying to.
He read
Oh,
that.
you
My
go right.
my
You
mama
go
raised
right
me
ahead.
right.
He read that.
Uh, so, for me, the formula is very simple. For me, the formula is what I've shared before, and it's usually one that is equated to or applied to relationship, especially marriage. But, or however, given the fact that we are the bride of Christ, the relationship that we model with Him is that of a marriage, then this does apply. So for me, it is a giver and a taker, right? So God, Father, Holy Spirit are the epitome of the giver and the giver. So the giver and the giver obviously make an exotic marriage or an exotic union, right? Something that is extraordinary, something that is amazing, something that is not seen very often, but certainly should be, right? That's why we call them, exotic animals, right? You're not gonna see this one all the time. So it's not something that we see all the time, but it's something that has been created, and the triune nature of God has shown us that. The two other portions to that is a giver and a taker, which quite honestly usually is what we display with regards to our relationship with God. He's the giver, we're the taker.
Yes.
We are usually not in the space of giving, unfortunately. We're trying to do better, and I believe we should. We should desire to do better so that we're also giving of ourselves as he gives to us. But 9 times out of 10, I would venture to say that we are usually finding ourselves in the place of taker, even in that relationship. Okay, so giver and a taker is a neurotic relationship or your neurotic marriage, right? You got somebody that's always pouring out and somebody always sucking it up, but there's never an even exchange. There's never a replacement. There's never a refilling, right? There's never a giving the giver a rest. You can't, because you're constantly taking. There is no rest for a giver in a giver-taker relationship. That giver is constantly giving because the taker is constantly taking. Then there is the taker and the taker, and that is a psychotic relationship, a psychotic marriage. Two people taking from each other and never giving to each other is a psychotic concept, because after you've taken everything, what else is there to take? But somebody who's psychotic will keep trying to take. There's nothing else to give, bruh. There's nothing else to give, sis. What else you trying to take? But those types of relationships, that's what makes those psychotic. So, thinking about John 3:16, this is the narrative that comes to play for me. But I always start with giver and giver, because that is the triune nature of God, to constantly be giving.
Yes.
That was good. That was real good, bro. And the thing about being a giver and a taker, you can't always be the taker. You have to, at some point, become the giver. The roles must reverse at some point. And one should not be giving more than the other. And sometimes your scale is unbalanced, okay? Sometimes there's a time where you are going to be giving more, but it shouldn't be a consistent in the relationship that you are always the one giving more, because there is a balance in it. And so we need balance in being a giver and a taker. And the taker shouldn't always be wanting to take, because what that says about the taker is that you're self-centered and it's all about you. See, and then you are it's all about me, because I just want to take. It's all about my happiness. It's all about my peace. It's all about my joy. It's all about what I want. So that's what a taker is. But a giver is someone who gives willingly and lovingly, and they give it wholeheartedly from their heart. And they mean well. So you should not be a person who manipulate or misuse or abuse a giver. So you got to make that thing balance. It got to be a balance. You got to balance or take. You got to be a giver or take. You got to be a balance there. If you find yourself in a relationship where here we got our Father God, who has given his only begotten Son. Oh, his only begotten. That's the key right there. His only begotten Son he gave. He gave it out of what? Being a giver and being out of love. He wasn't willing to take anything, but he was willing to give something to us. And through his Son, we were able to have a way back to the Father because of what he gave to us. He gave it out of love. So a giver gives out of love. And it ain't always out of the abundance. Sometimes it's out of the empty cup. So I would just say, You have to have balance in being a giver and a taker.
Okay, well, let me piggyback up on that, even giving out of an empty cup, because I think we touched on that a little bit last night. Because if you giving out an empty cup, what are you really giving? What are you really giving? Because giving out an
Scraps.
empty cup, okay. Or I mean, again, sometimes people just giving films.
Yeah, that's
And they
it.
make that film. It's almost like you got your three elements. You got your gas, your water, and your what is the gas? The Kitty, you know I'm heading to.
I
You got
do.
your
I
gas.
do.
You got your. If ice turn into
H2O.
water, yes. What are you really giving? So you got to be able to, as we said on Tuesday night, you have to be able to have something to give. And
Mm-hmm.
giving isn't always, I think many times when we even use the word give, many times people see that only in the forms of money. But
Oh,
we
no.
give so much more than just money.
Mm-hmm.
Relationship got to be more than just you giving things, because people have given things, but they can't even give of themselves. I'm gonna just turn and give the boo bossic side eye on that one.
The whole.
All of us giving y'all the boo bossic side eye. Why?
No, you're
Because there's a
wrong.
lot of people who are giving, Lady LaShonda, but they don't even know that, and they feel like sometimes people who give are sometimes the hardest people to receive, because they feel like that's back to what we said on Tuesday. That's their role.
And they've operated in that role so much
Hey,
that that thing has become a habit. So it's hard for them to partake of someone giving to them. How can I say that? I'm a testify. I'm gonna be transparent for a moment, because I'm a giver and I constantly give. But when someone wants to give back to me, it's very hard for me to receive it, because I'm always giving and no one is willing to give back. Don't see, because see,
ooh,
a giver pours. That's that they're pouring into you. Whatever they're giving, they're pouring into you. And a taker just fills the cup and keep drinking. They keep putting the cup back down there and keep drinking. They put the cup
but
back down there and they keep drinking.
ooh, but let me ask you this: who's at fault? Who's got the problem?
Both
The
of them
real
are at
problem?
both of them are at fault.
How
Both of them.
so?
Ooh, y'all.
Because
How
the
so?
giver keeps giving and the taker keeps taking. You know what I'm saying? They're not willing to, the giver is not willing to say, "Oh, wait a minute, let's stop right here. I got to stop giving
Mm,
because I'm getting empty. I'm pouring out so much that I'm getting empty. I'm not even pouring from a reservoir anymore. I'm down to the scraps now. I'm getting, you know how you got this coffee now that you make. You know how sometimes the grinds be at the bottom of the cup. You're drinking the
Mm,
coffee, so they pouring from the grinds now.
okay.
the grind.
Okay. Wait.
The grind.
Wait a minute. Wait. Whole
Wait a
minute.
minute. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute now.
He said, wait a minute. He said,
Wait a
wait a
minute.
minute. Go on,
One.
Pastor. Go on, Pastor.
Lashonda. Shout out to L Boogie online. She
Amen.
asked, if you're giving from an empty cup, would that be considered love or normalized sacrifice?
I say,
First of
Ooh,
all,
mm-hmm.
whoo. See,
that's good.
it would start from a place of love. It
Yes.
would start from a place of love, because that is the general capacity for humans, is to
Mm-hmm.
start from a place from love. But additional to that capacity to start from a place of love is for us to end up from a place of somewhere totally different that ain't got nothing to do with
Mm.
love. So now you can have somebody who is constantly giving, and it started with love, and now they're doing it because it feeds their martyrdom. It
Ooh,
feeds their ability to say, I did such and such a thing for such and such a person, so it checks their box for their good. It has nothing to do with you anymore. Matter of fact, they probably won't even want to or care about what you do with what's being given to you. It's just, I'm going to give, and the less I have at times, the more I'm going to give, because that looks like a really good sacrifice.
Ooh.
mm, that's good right there. And you
Mm-hmm.
know what, man of God, right there in there. to answer Lady LaShonda in conjunction with what you just said, which was so awesome, is that many folks, as you said, they started off from a place of love, but then their real motives come forth. And
Ooh, come
people
on.
have learned to function in dysfunction.
Jesus.
Ooh.
They're functioning in dysfunction and they call it love. They call it God. They call it this has got to be it right here. But they're actually functioning in dysfunction because many times that's what people know. People know dysfunction. And what happened is many folks end up with people with narcissistic behaviors. And we haven't fully identified those narcissist behaviors because they are giving. And we done got caught up on the material things. But can you give of yourself, as I said earlier? Because that's what the real sacrifice have absolutely nothing to do with things. It has to do with you as the individual.
Come on, come on.
And some folks haven't gotten there because what they end up doing when they get stuck on things, they're functioning in their dysfunction. And they say, this is my love language. This is the way I do what I do. But what actually end up happening is they will use those things down the road, back to what you just said. They start off from a place of love, but then go somewhere else. And next thing you know, the real motive show up, and that real motive may be control.
My God,
That's
today.
what it may be, control. Now
Dr.
you
Candace.
want to control the narrative. You want to control the actions. You want to control the behavior. You want to control how somebody think, how they feel, what they do. That's narcissistic behaviors. But many times people have gotten hoodwinked and bamboozled because they thought that was real love. They thought that was real love.
You better come on here.
And it's really functioning in your dysfunction because perhaps you may have never really understood what real love is, and you won't understand what it is till you find out the love of God.
That part. That part.
And seeing if that person operates from the place of the attributes of God, or are they functioning in their dysfunction from their past relationships, from their past encounters with other people, and then they done grouped everybody together, and then they done created their own little snowball, and now their giving now is a means of, I want to control you. But can you say I'm sorry?
That part.
Or you gonna be like Ike? Do I have to just call out Ike tonight?
Eat the cake. Eat the cake. And Dr. Candace.
Come through.
Dr. Candace, dysfunction comes with a high. Moving in dysfunction comes with its own high. It has its own dopamine effect. Yeah. Moving in, that's why there are people that say, you know what, don't worry about my space, right? My space is controlled chaos.
Exactly.
Two words that should never be put in the same sentence. Certainly not used to express or give any type of description to any one thing. But people will say that this is controlled chaos. I've said it before, right? This is all it is this is my dysfunction. And when I function successfully in my dysfunction, there is a high that I get because I did it. I did well at this. There is a high attached to the dysfunction of the foundational preaching that a lot of us have received with regards to prosperity.
That is good. That's
Come on.
good.
Right? Because it's, if I can get you to like your dysfunction,
come on,
then you're not going to want to come out of it. Matter of fact, you're going to hold fast to it. You're going to embrace it. And now your dysfunction has become a part of you, and it's something that drives you. It's something that feeds on you, and you feed it. Thank you, babe. It is totally equal to toxic. It is extremely toxic.
That's right, Lady Brandy.
So, bro, when you say that it becomes a part of you, is that when people start saying, but this is just me? Because now it has become so much a part of you that you don't even recognize that you are functioning in dysfunction. You don't recognize that you're functioning in chaos. You don't realize that you have become messy.
And they say that's my
And
truth.
and yet this is my truth. This is who I am. And if you can't deal with who I am, then, like my sister on here say, fight or flight. Come on here now. But I guess I'm gonna have to take a flight because I can't fight with you on this. Because
That
if you
part.
ain't willing to see, if you ain't willing to see who you are, if you ain't willing to change who you are, if you can't even I'm gonna tell you what it put me in the mind of an addict.
That part.
See, when you are an addict, when you are functioning in your addict mentality, your addict role, how I know? I used to be one. See, when you function in your addict role, it's all about you and how you gonna get your next fix. Because remember, you said, how you gonna get your next fix? How am I gonna manipulate, control, operate in this situation to get my next fix?
That's right. And that's why
I'm dysfunctional.
Right. I apologize. I did not mean to cut you off. But that's is why
right,
giving and receiving, you can be dysfunctional in both spaces. You could be a dysfunctional giver and you could be a dysfunctional receiver. This is exactly what we're sharing. This is what we're seeing in the chat. Thank you, Dr. Candace. LaShonda, thank you. Pastor Gary Smith, what's up, brother? Good to see you on. I ain't gonna say about time, but I love you. Sister Angie, Sister Angie in the house. Thank you, Mom, for being online. So yeah, this is what we're expressing here in kind of in totality of this conversation thus far, is that you can absolutely be operating from a place of dysfunction as a giver and as a receiver. Because once you start going into addictive chronic behavior on either side, outside of the reckless giving love of God, right? And the fact that we should be willing to give and give and give and give and give to those that we love, to our wives, so forth and so on. Yes, we should always be giving. But the thing of it is, God has not made a design on this earth that is only receiving. Everything gives and takes, right? Everything
from
gives.
the beginning.
From the beginning, everything gives and takes. So if I'm constantly pouring out, somebody's constantly pouring out to me. So in that case, me being a perpetual giver ain't a problem, because there is someone giving back to me. So I'm being refilled whether I realize it or not. It's cyclical, very cyclical, right? It's coming in, it's going out. It's coming in, it's going out. It's coming in, it's going out. Problem is, if it's going out more than it's coming in,
come on.
There's some evaluating. There's some evaluating that need to go down for a hot second. We
got a problem.
I think it might be longer than a hot second, bro. It might need to be a whole minute.
Okay, we need to check the machine.
Because you're gonna need to check some things. You're gonna have to check. You're gonna have to evaluate.
And as it pertains to marriage, here's where
look at your wife said a cycle.
A whole cycle.
She said a cycle.
Spin cycle. My God, today.
Yeah.
As it pertains to marriage. Oh, go ahead, Dr. Candace. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I want to stop you, but that cycle thing just got me going, Lady Brandon. That's what I'm talking about. Because what comes with cycles, y'all? Come on, ladies, talk to me. Put it up on the screen. What comes with cycle? You get bloated. You get irritable. You get frustrated, you moody, you need to get yourself some Advil, some Tylenol, you need to lay down, you got a headache, you got body parts swelling up. Say that again, woman of God.
You got cramps, come on here now.
You got cramps, you in pain, but you need something to help subside the pain.
Yes, you do.
And if you with somebody who's just a taker, baby, go ahead, make your way to the hospital is what I'm going to tell you. Because they just a taker, baby. They ain't gonna be there to get you no Madol. They ain't gonna be able to get you no hot water bottle to put up on your little cramps. They ain't gonna be able to help you out. You're gonna be just jacked up, laid up in your own stuff.
And Lady Brandon said you just a whole mess. Lady Brandon said you just a whole mess. Come on, Lady Brandon.
All that. .com, ladybrand.com.
A whole
A whole
mess.com. A
mess.com.
whole mess.com. Come on,
Somebody need to
put that on the
hashtag
Facebook.
that. A
Yeah,
whole
hashtag a whole mess.
mess.com.
We both said that at the same time. A whole mess.com. Suffering by yourself, Lady Brandy said.
Come
Suffering
on.
by yourself.
When you
Because
with
that's what the
somebody who
taker
should be helping you.
right. The taker not there to help you. Because you there, you the giver suffering by yourself.
So it's back to what Pastor Ken said. It's back right there. It's that taker kind of thing. That taker, that psychotic behaviors coming forth. Because what happens with people who are psychotic? They are unstable. Unstable, because that's pretty much what being psychotic is. You're unstable. And the Bible even talks about how a double-minded man is unstable in all his or her ways. Because that's not gender bias. You got women out here just as psychotic as men. And so, it's on both sides. It's on both sides, but you got to check it at the gate, is what I want to tell you. Check it at the gate.
My God.
Check that thing check it at the door. She said
so
the gate.
Check that don't get to go on the plane. That don't get to go on this
ride.
ride.
Don't have a checkmate.
Yeah,
that part.
TSA, we going through TSA. You gonna have to check that thing. Check that thing before you even go. You know they make you go in and put your hands up. We gonna have to check that thing through the TSA.
Come on.
I want somebody just lift their hands right now. Hands up. Go on, surrender.
Hands up.
Give it up.
Just let it go.
Because you know the beauty in that thing when those hands is up is that naturally your lungs expand so you can breathe. Because a lot of people are in those relationships, you ain't breathing. You've been holding your breath. You've been feeling like you drowning in that relationship, in that marriage, because ain't nobody like this. Ain't nobody surrendered like they need to be to where there can be reciprocity in that relationship. And it's just taker and taker and taker and taker. Both parties are depleted. They empty. You can't go to the bank because you ain't gonna get but an NSF, insufficient funds.
Come on here.
That's what you're gonna get. You're gonna come out empty-handed. And there goes some more madness that goes in psychotic. Being a taker and a taker. Go ahead, Pastor.
Dr. Candace, we can't. This whole narrative of giving, the whole perspective of healthy, right, love-filled giving and receiving is not just for men and women in relationship, i.e. husbands and wives, boos and bays. This is sisters, cousins, brothers, uncles, and parents, grandparents. Like these are all relationships. This is at the core of every single human interaction is a giving and a taking transaction. Every human interaction involves some sort of giving and some sort of receiving. Let's put it there, because sometimes when we hear taker, we immediately send that into space of negative connotation. Okay, cool. Let's say receiver. That's a little more PC. We'll say receiver. But if you receiving too many signals, anyway, kind of hard to broadcast anything if you got too much coming in. Amen. So we do. Here's something I want to share. My giving is not predicated upon Lady B's ability to give back to me what I gave to her, or even at the level of which I gave it to her. My giving is not predicated upon any of that. So that's when you start to move into the level of giving that involves or that is embodied by agape, right? That's agape giving, because it is not about whether or not you can give it back to me. It's not about me sitting and waiting for you to pay me back or for you to give it back, right? Because at that point, then we definitely are moving from an extreme transactional perspective and not relational. So let's be clear, as we're talking about giving and receiving, it's from two perspectives. At least in my mind, two major perspectives. One is transactional and two, relational. There is giving and receiving that's just merely transactional. Cause and effect. This is I'm giving this to get that, or I'm getting that, and so I got to give this, or vice versa, right? Payment, transaction. But then there's relational. And when it comes down to relational, much of what we've been talking about thus far, that's when things get hairy. That's when things get hairy, because you start to bring a man's mind and a man's heart. And when I say man, I mean men and women. You start to bring our hearts and our minds into play. What the Bible say about our heart, right? Is deceitful and desperately wicked. Deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Like,
you know it.
And then a double-minded man, which means we have the propensity to do that. We have the proclivities to put us in a space of moving with two minds, being two-faced, or moving from two different perspectives almost all at once. So again, when it comes down to giving and receiving in relationship, that's when it gets hairy. And that's why our perfect example is John 3:16.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And then when you go over to Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25, that's another great example, especially for men and women, because Ephesians chapter 5 give you the order of God. You know, it was first Christ, then man, then woman. So that's order. That's order. That order will never, ever change. I don't care who try to change it. I don't care what group try to come up, women's lib, whatever you want to call yourself. Men got whatever they want to call that. But that's God's ordained order. So it's going to always remain that way. But the roles is vastly different. The functioning is vastly different. And even in giving and receiving, because it said, wives, submit yourself to your own husband. Your own sister girl, come a little closer. I said your own. Now let me move my neck down this side right there. Because I say to your own husband. Because how you going to submit to the leader at your church house and you ain't submitted to the man in yours? Let me holler at you, sister. I love you. But come a little closer. Let me holler at you. Because the word of God is not going to change, because the Bible goes on to tell us that the sanctified wife sanctify her husband and vice versa. So instead of going and laying that man out, or man, before you go and try to lay that woman out, y'all can sanctify each other. You can get each other straight. You can. Because again, the Bible goes back in Deuteronomy and tells us, so long as the earth remains, there's going to be seed time and harvest. So everything was created with seed within itself. To produce. What are you producing in your relationship? What are you producing in your marriage? Are you on? Listen, this is a good time for you to check yourself so you won't wreck yourself.
My God.
Are you giving enough? Come on. Are you giving enough? Or you giving the bare minimum? You giving based on performance? Oh, y'all, let's talk right there. I said, are you giving based on performance? You know I'm gonna bring it. Come on.
Why you gonna say something like that?
Because we got to talk about it.
Why did she say that?
I mean, what you gonna sit up here and say something like that for? Now you gonna sit up here and talk real good, extra good, and step on toes. What?
Ooh, yeah, I heard all of that.
All of that.
Come on in here, Pastor. Yes,
my
Lord.
gosh.
So what are you really giving? Because again, I think it would warn us to go back and check out how you've been giving. Because your giving is akin to your living.
Oh my God.
I said your giving is akin to your living. And again, many times when you even use the word giving, people always see that in the means of money. But no, we talking about giving of your time, giving of kind words, giving of yourself. Can you give yourself in your marriage?
Come on.
Because remember, we're often talking about on this relationship platform about intimacy. Into me, you see. Are you able to do that? Or are you stuck in the past and you can't move in a healthy way in your present, thus moving you fast forward into your future in a healthy way where you are giving and receiving? Because if you see that you're giving now, some people say that giving is one of the love languages. That's one of the 5. You got those 5 love languages. So some people give, but what else can you do? Because that's not the only. That should not be your only love language.
No, especially if it's if it's multiplistic. Even giving within itself is multifaceted, I should say. right? Giving is already going to be multifaceted. But you asked a great question, Dr. Candace, and I think what's really interesting is it with what you're giving, right? Are you giving from a deficit? Are you giving
That
from
right there.
a place that has strings attached? Are you giving, as we've talked about, with the receiving in mind versus just the giving, because giving is what we do. um not having those understandings is vastly, detrimental. It's very detrimental. And I think some people uh Lady B said, don't
Yes.
set yourself up. And Kay Nelson said, that is conditional love. Oh my gosh. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh.
It's
Yeah,
sure not unconditional love. That's for sure. It is, because it comes with conditions.
that part.
If
It
you
comes
do
with
this,
motives.
and
That
that
part.
too, you got conditions, you got motives, you got all that stuff coming together. So when I heard my sister say some things, and I was like, "Woo, she coming through here real powerful." But my one thing about it is, we was been talking about the taker, but the giver has a responsibility too. The giver has to know when to set boundaries, when to come up, and when to what I call
That
come
right
up,
there.
wake up. Come on, wake up now. It's time to wake up out of your sleep because you've been slumbering too long. You need to come out and set some boundaries as a giver. And those things need to be set up front.
Yes,
It's
they
not
do.
something that we should be waiting for to, down the line after you've given so much. Now you want to set boundaries. The boundaries should be set at the gate.
At the
Let's
gate.
at the gate. Not years down the road, not months into this thing, and then you seem that you are being depleted because you constantly keep giving out and the person keeps taking. So now you come to a place where you now have become aware that you have been giving. And now the taker is upset because you have set boundaries. But if you had to set them in the beginning,
That's right.
My God.
because
It,
people become, when you stop being what people want you to be for them, they do a couple of things. They either gonna fight back with you to try to get you back to where you were with them, or they gonna flight. They gonna fight or flight.
That's right. That's right. There is a wonderful one of my
Stone
favorite
girl.
rappers. One of my favorite rappers. He actually has a line in one of his songs, and it's stuck with me, and so I can't
Mm-hmm.
get rid of it because it makes too much good sense. He said, "Don't give CPR to dead situations.
Ooh, that's good.
Ooh.
Don't give CPR to dead situations." There are some givers again they're moving at the speed of martyrdom. You can't rescue somebody who is drowning if you can't swim. I can't give you the oxygen mask if I done passed out. Right? So
That right there.
there's a space where giving has to be done from a perspective, a high perspective of wisdom. But here's the thing: the Bible also tells us, this is Matthew 7 verse 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Matthew 7:6 ESV. Do not give dogs what is holy, and do not throw your pearls before pigs, lest they trample them underfoot and turn and attack you. Some folks are out here giving, thinking they're giving, and doing a really, really good job at it, and they should get a pat on the back at some point, because you're going to get a crown, but you sitting up there giving to a zombie.
Ooh.
Zombies are dead, walking dead. It can't give nothing back. It can't produce life. There's no life in it, but you steadily feeding it. Who
Oh,
looks
my
crazy
man.
then?
But you're looking for life in a dead thing. See, you think that you keep feeding it, that it's gonna come back to life, like you Jesus, and you can resurrect something. Come on here now.
I'm gonna
You're
Stop
do
gonna make me
feeding
maybe.
that
run.
dead thing.
Oh,
You're gonna make me run.
Come on.
You
You
y'all
finna
stop
make me
feeding
listen.
that
run.
dead thing.
I'm
Because
finna
the
run
dead
right
thing
now. I'm joining Caitlin.
Listen,
Caitlin,
we
I'm
gonna
joining
have to
her
go
right
ahead.
now.
We gonna have to go ahead and teach that thing, The Walking Dead. We gonna have to go ahead and
Let's do it.
There's no way that you can feed a dead thing and think you're gonna get a heartbeat. Ain't nothing coming from nothing that's dead. Ain't no blood flowing. Ain't no heartbeat. Ain't nothing coming from the walking dead.
So then why are we giving resources to something
To a dead.
that's dead?
Resources to a dead thing.
To a
To a
dead
dead
thing.
thing. Do you think that? That question you asked, Pastor, do you think it's because some people think that they're giving resources to a dead thing because they think they can resurrect the dead thing?
Sometimes it is definitely because they think they can. Yes, ma'am.
I think because people are hopeful.
That
people
part.
are hopeful that something is going to come back to life, and so they want to provide that CPR, because the purpose of CPR is to breathe, to resuscitate someone back to life who has fainted. But the difference between CPR is the fact that is in resurrection is CPR, that person ain't dead. But resurrection, y'all done took it to one level to the next. CPR, that's because somebody may have fainted, but yes, still they have their vital organs moving. But
but I'm dead. It's gone.
Yeah, when it's dead, it's dead like Lazarus. Lazarus was dead and needed to be resurrected, which means to stand on your feet again. So y'all done gave two different levels of people trying to be hopeful in something that lost life long ago, and you still trying to call it back into life.
Girl,
trying to call it back.
I was just thinking
Stop trying to call it back into life.
I'm trying to call that thing back. Come on, Lazarus.
Call it back.
Get
Come
up.
on.
No,
And
that thing ain't getting up. That
and the
thing
thing
laid
is,
down because it laid down.
That thing stinking.
Stinking dead.
Stinking
and dead.
It's time to bury it. That's exactly what it is. Dig a grave and bury that thing.
Or do what God has called us to in some instances and give it to him. Because he said to the prophet, shall these dry bones live? Right? So God can bring it. God can pull it up from death because he done already done it. We done seen it. Let's go right on back. 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave
his only begotten.
His only. So that who would ever believe in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Why? Because he rose. So there's that space, right, where we have to make sure we don't cross the line into dysfunction. See, I'm hopeful.
That's right.
I err on the side of hope almost 100% of the time. But I'm not dysfunctional. I know when something is hopeless. Now, are my ratios going to be, again, on the side of hope more than hopelessness? Absolutely. That's who I am. That's how God has created me. But I'm not ignorant to the fact that there can be that line that is crossed over. And at that point, you're fighting the uphill battle unnecessarily, right? Mm-hmm. So, there are spaces where, yes, there is hope upon hope upon hope because God is able, right? Because God is able. But then there are those spaces where we have to be discerning, right? That's why I said giving and receiving on both sides has to be done with wisdom.
Absolutely.
So that we don't fall prey to, becoming dysfunctional.
You just said something powerful, and I've had to put up there that hope deferred makes the heart sick.
Yes, it does.
Hope deferred. So when your hope is put off, if you're dealing with somebody that's just a simple taker, that all they want to do, they want you because you got what they call, and it's not true, you got some men that say women are gold diggers and so on and so forth because they think it's all about their money. But
I was just thinking the same thing, bro. Men are too.
Yeah, but you got men out there that just want the money too. Everybody that want to make a connection, a love connection, baby, they don't want to make a love connection because they want you. Some folks looking for somewhere to lay their head, baby. I say they looking somewhere to lay their head.
You just happened.
Tired.
You just came about on the other side of the 15th, and that money was too short.
Exactly. They hungry and they ain't got nowhere to go, and they hoping that you will be gullible. Or vulnerable. Oh, y'all, we got to talk about
dysfunctional.
Or dysfunction. No, enough.
But before you go into that, Kay Nelson said, in the words of my papa, how long did you stay after Jesus was gone?
Come on now. Come on. Because Pop would always tell us, I want to be where Jesus is, not where Jesus was.
He was. Come on here now. Come on here now. That was a good one right there.
I ain't trying to do it.
Yeah, and I saw Lady Brandy say, if dead, do you even want it to come back?
That
See, sometimes
part.
when the thing is dead, you may not want that thing to come back
I mean,
because when it's over, it's over.
so what's at the heart? Ooh, I love where we going. So really, what's at the heart of
What?
a lot of
Ooh,
what we are discussing? What's at
Mm-hmm.
the heart of it? What's I feel like thus far, what's really at the heart, especially from our comments, especially with how the conversation has gone. Thank you, Holy Ghost. I really feel like what's at the heart of this is the heart. What at the heart of this giving and receiving is the heart. It is love. It is connectivity. It is relationship. It is the warm and fuzzies you've been seeking and that you desire and that you thought you were going to get from one and totally did not get warm and fuzzy. You got cold and prickly. You it's
not cold and prickly.
cold and prickly. So if that's
Cold and
what we're
prickly.
talking about, that's fine. That's fine. I'm good with that because there is a space where your longing, if you're not careful, your longing will put you in a position of dysfunction or desperation or both.
Oh, I was about to go there.
And when you get
Desperation.
there, once you get there, your giving and receiving, both of those are going to be a little bit wonky because
Yeah.
you're already moving from a inward emotional deficit, an inward heart and mental and psychological. So you're already moving from a deficit because the longing has taken over and it has turned into desperation, baby.
Yeah.
You better get in God's face, get in your
Period.
closet, and then get around people who exude love.
That's right.
Get around the
That's right.
examples of what you desire to have in your life. Who you praying for? Get around some folks that mirror. If you want marriage, okay, get around some married folk.
You know what's funny
Successfully
to me
married
that
folks.
that's right. Let's make that plain. Let's make that real plain. You know what's amazing? Oh, go ahead, Rhonda.
When you said that, my brother, it took me back to 2 Corinthians 9:7. Each of you should give what you decided in your heart to give.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and not reluctantly or under compulsion. For God loves a cheerful giver.
My God.
See, and everybody thinks that cheerful giver is always about money. That cheerful giver is not always about money. As my sister said earlier, Dr. Candace said earlier, it could be about your time. You see what I'm saying? You can give in other ways than a financial means. But that took me back to that. So how are you? What have you decided in your heart to give? Because that's what you're giving out. Even as a giver, and even as a taker, they have decided something in their heart so that they will be able to be that taker, so that the giver would give. So that kind of just, I was like, oh,
that's real good.
right to that scripture right there. So
That's
what you
good
say
because
about that, doctor?
Well, I agree with you because that particular scripture actually is specifically relating to money because they were setting things up so you ain't got to be trying to get it together. Because y'all remember there was a time before we even got to the church, we'd already prepared our offering from the household. We was already at the house in prayer, got our offering together. So we already came, and then the preacher man or woman would say, I feel the Lord is saying 25 people want to see $25 there. You start shouting over in the church because sometimes it's because it's the very thing that you had in your envelope to give. It could have been $5, but because you had purposed that thing in your heart, not when you got in the building, but you did that from your own house. From your storehouse. Right, from your own house, from you, where your relationship with God, because you was communicating with him. And so you wasn't waiting for somebody to come tell you what to give. You already had prepared your offering. But let me get back here, y'all, to Proverbs 13:12, where the hope deferred makes the heart sick. But here's the other part. But it say, but pretty much when that thing is manifest, the thing that you were hoping for, when that thing is manifest, it becomes a tree of life. In other words, back to what Pastor Ken was saying, is that, surely there should be some hope. there should be some hope in that relationship. Because sometimes people fall on hard times relationally. They do. They fall on hard times. They fall on real struggles and so on and so forth. Emotional struggle, mental struggle. Everything may have been chummy going on, but sometimes things happen. If there was some infidelity, then that can bring on a whole different feeling of the giving and the receiving. It'll bring on something different because now you don't feel like you want to give. Now, let's say if that man has been the provider, now he can't provide no more because brother don't got a pink slip. Now you can't be throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Now carry the brother. Can you carry him? Because if he had been handling things all along, then you should have been saving and not be an unwise woman. Because Proverbs 14:1 says that the wise woman builds her house and the foolish woman pluck it down with her own hands. So while that man was handling all the bills, sister girl, you ought to been saving. I know y'all may be saying she coming hard up on us sister tonight because I'm a sister. I'm coming for us tonight. Yes, baby. Because I love us and I love the brethren too. But I won't talk to us because when we do it God's way, we're going to get God's results. But again, if you got hope that even let's say that man fall a hard time, he lost his job because you have been a wise woman, you have been a wise steward. You don't give away everything you get. Listen, some of us, that's the problem. Because we give away our rent money, our light bill money, our car note money, our gas money to the church. You out of order right there. Let me help somebody real quick. When the disciples came to Jesus, I want to talk to somebody tonight. When the disciples came to Jesus and they showed him that coin, it had seeds on it. They said, Jesus, should we pay this right here? What should we do with this? Jesus said these words. You give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give unto God what belongs to God. When you have taken, listen, I told the people this morning that our witness is on the line. Our witness. How you going to take your rent money and give your rent money to the church and talk about, I just feel the Lord is calling me. No, you just religious. And Dr. Hall called you just straight up stupid. That's what he said. But the truth of the matter is that ain't God. Because now you are showing a bad witness before your landlord. You're showing a bad witness to the people that you owe money to. Because you're doing the wrong thing and you blaming. Then you got nerve to be blaming it on God. No, I just felt like the Lord was saying to me to give this. No, don't blame your foolishness on God. Don't do it. I want to help somebody. Pay your bills, baby. When tax time came around, I was encouraging the people, pay your bill. Don't be taking all your money down there and giving all your money away. You going up over here going shopping, spending up all your coins, and then you ain't paying your bill. Now you standing up over there in somebody's line trying to get some assistance when God done blessed you, but you was an unwise steward. You didn't do right. You got to do right because your marriage is stewardship. Your relationship is stewardship. You have to manage that relationship. You have to manage what you're doing. You have to manage the emotions, the mental, the physiological, the psychological, the physical, the spiritual part. Come on, let me talk to the brothers real quick. Because brother man, listen here, you got to be able to give by example. See, when your wife see you giving, brother, because see, here's what we got, man of God. There's a lot of women that have been givers, and not that men are not, because there are plenty of men that give. But women have been leading the church in so many ways. Every church that I know of got more women than it got men. I don't know no church that got more men than women. So women have always been leading the way in that way. They've been ushering, they've been singing, they've been giving, they've been frying that chicken and that fish, all those things. Giving. But what are you giving in your marriage? If your husband tell you, baby, we're not going to church today, Sunday, we're not going to church, we're going to minister to each other. What you going to say, girly girl? If your wife tell you that, brother, what you going to say, brother man? What you going to say? Oh, don't you even listen, I'm rebuking you right now. I'm rebuking you right
in the name.
Right now. Don't you be talking
Jesus.
Don't be talking about the devil is a lie. I'm going to church. You out of order. And see, that's the problem, y'all, because see, all of this giving and receiving that we talk about tonight came from the conversation of us talking about order, came from us talking about the conversation of us talking about callings, about us talking about roles. and stuff. But if you are out of order, your roll is gonna be jacked up. If you are out of order, your coal is gonna be jacked up. And so it's going to affect your giving and your receiving. But again, if you are hopeful, what the man of God said, give that relationship, whatever part it is, you got to give it back to the Lord, because our hope is in God. And that's why it says in this latter part of Proverbs 13:12, go and read it for yourself. When that thing happens, when that thing that you've been hoping for, you was hoping that that man would turn his life around. You was praying that that woman would change her life around. And now you see it. That thing is turning because God is moving on what they both said, the heart. He's moving on the hearts. He's pulling on the heartstring, and they are making the turn. As they see that thing brings life to you. When you see your husband, your wife, your boo, your bae, start making a turn. And at one point they may have been takers and not givers. But now you see the reciprocity of now they done shifted. Baby, that brings life to you. It's gonna bring you life.
My God.
I just wanted to say, you was talking about the sisters and the married sisters and putting money back and saving and being a wise woman. But single women, you need to be wise too. You need to be prepared when God sends you your boo, your bae, whoever you want to say, whenever he sends you to him, you need to be prepared too. You need to have your credit straight. You need to have savings. You need to have everything, in order when you meet him. You shouldn't be coming and just trying to get your credit straight while you got him because he got good credit. Now you trying to piggyback off of his. Come on here now. Or vice versa. She shouldn't be, you're right, try to. Okay, I got that, bro. Or vice versa. Bro, you shouldn't be trying, you should be getting it together. Okay, so that you don't have to be trying to piggyback off of her credit. Come on, when y'all come together, y'all should have something. When you come to the table prepared to have a meal. Because if you come to the table and you ain't got your, how we put our little, I'm a crab eater, okay? I like seafood. So when I go out to the seafood restaurant, they give you these bibs to put on to protect your clothes, okay? So you got to come prepared to eat, to feast. And if you don't come with your stuff, you got to come with what you got to come with your appetite. You got to come with everything to sit at the table. So if you come prepared to meet your spouse and your wife, your husband or your boo or your bae, when you come prepared with already I got my savings. I'm preparing because I know there's gonna come a day that my husband gonna show up. And when he show up, you're gonna say, well, my wife is well prepared. She saved money. Her credit is straight. She takes care of the home. She knows what to do. She's a wild woman. Come on, single women. I'm a single woman. So we gotta come to the table straight. So, and guess what? You can't be fooled when you're straight. You can't be fooled when you're straight. But when you ain't got it right, you be in the midst of some of them red flags that was on the play. Because see, you so focused on one part, and then when you should be able to see the whole thing.
Oh, Sister Soldier, are you referring to the word called needy?
That's exactly what I'm talking about, sis. Come on here, man. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
My God.
The word called needy. So, now you're needy.
So see, first of all, if y'all don't mind, can we not go there yet? Because just I'm gonna share two thoughts, but this first one. It would behoove us men to come with the table.
Bring it.
I'm not bringing nothing to a central table. I'm bringing the table because that's the establishment. My desire is to come with an establishment, a plan that we can work with and work from. That doesn't mean it's my way or the highway. It doesn't mean that plans won't change or evolve. It doesn't mean our table won't get cut in half and we add a rail system underneath and we put a leaf in the middle, because now this went from a 6-person table to an 8-person table or a 10-person table. It doesn't mean that the table can't change. But bruh, come with a table.
Kenny,
Don't.
hold up. I gotta say something, bro. Come with the
Mhm.
table. Because while you were saying, I had to put up here, a man meets all needs, but a boy is a burden on you.
I just put that,
Jesus.
bro. Sis, I just put it. A boy is a burden on you. I just put it up there because I
Jesus.
seen you put a man meets all needs. So let me help her out because a boy is a
I
burden
got
on
it.
So
you.
a man is gonna bring the table, and you will end up finding the boy hiding under it.
No, it's the man that's bringing the table, but inside that man ain't but a little boy keeps showing up. The little
Well,
boy that
that
want to
part.
keep going to the playground, the little boy who want to keep on playing
See,
video games, the
see.
little boy who don't want to get no job, the little
Well,
boy just want to sit out there and just shuck and jive. That's a little boy, but he in a man's body. This is what my sister's saying. Don't be fooled, ladies. Don't be fooled. Because again, when you've been bringing the table, you got the table and got all the goods to go up on it. You ain't gonna be fooled with when Bozo try to show up.
that's true.
Cause
That's true.
Bozo looking like a man, Bozo talking like a man,
But
but
Bozo act
Bozo
like a
really
clown.
don't sound
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
the sound of a
yeah.
man is different than that of a boy.
That's true.
Ooh,
That's true.
ooh,
Listen,
I'm
that's
with this
true.
fool right here.
Here's what's
It's a different
bananas about
sound.
it. Here's what's bananas about it. It's not just scriptural and biblical. It's natural. It is natural.
Come
If
on.
you hear a lioness roar, you'll hear her. But a lion's roar will be heard for miles
Ooh.
because God built within the male creatures something different so that we are responded to when we speak. Just wanted to put that out there. Just wanted to put that out
Ooh.
there. So if there's a man who is manning, but it ain't got no power behind it,
Mm.
need you to get some
Bro,
bass in your voice, bruh.
you saying a whole lot right
I'm gonna
there,
need
bro.
you to
You
get some
saying a
bass in your
whole lot.
voice. And it's
Ooh.
not tonal. Hear us. It's not tonal. Getting that bass in your voice, that ain't tonal. That's something deep down in you. That's the God in you coming up
That
and
there.
moving. That's what helps you put some bass in your voice. That's saying it with your chest. That's what that is. But okay, but because I love it. This is gonna be a whole nother. We gotta talk about that too. Okay, so but I did want to share this real quick because y'all gonna make me run. So I mentioned that giving lives in two spaces, right? Transactional and relational. But we
Mm-hmm.
but we in those spaces, giving and receiving, I should say, also functions within those two spaces. It functions in three ways, in three states of being. Okay. There's a
Whoa.
low, a medium, and a high. Here's how it goes. It's the low level is reactionary. So there's going to be reactionary giving, reactionary receiving. The
Mm-hmm.
medium level is responsive. You're going to have responsive giving. You're going to have responsive
Mm-hmm.
receiving. The
Mm-hmm.
high level, though, is predictive. There's going to be
Mm-hmm.
predictive
You
giving
already know what time it
and
is.
predictive
Mm-hmm.
receiving. So if the response, if I'm going to be reactionary, that's simply chemical, right? It's chemical. This plus this reaction, done and done. You can almost do it without even thinking. But for you to actually respond in either giving or receiving, there's some thought that has to come into it. Now, now,
Mm-hmm.
now I have to really be thinking about this. And in order for me to progress to the highest level and get to predictive, not only have I thought about it, but it's planned thought. It
That's
ain't
right.
just I've looked at this scenario and I've seen how I've given and how they've given, or how I've received and how they received. No, now we're starting to look at how these things happen and what they could look like in a future state. So now your giving becomes smarter. Your receiving becomes
Yeah,
smarter because you're putting
absolutely.
more thought and more heart into it. So I just wanted to share
Mm-hmm.
that real quick.
Absolutely.
Mm.
That was powerful right there. So
Yes, it was.
RRP, reactive, responsive, predictive. And really really it takes me right back to the scripture in Proverbs, 3 Proverbs 13 and 12, because that's what it's about. That's what this really is about. And how do you know that hope is deferred? I mean, because you have to acknowledge, number one, you have to acknowledge um, the feelings that you have concerning your giving and your receiving. Acknowledge where you at, because sometimes people don't know what they are, and they are just doing stuff out of habit. They're doing stuff because they have always done it this way and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But you have to refrain. You have to refrain from keep operating in that same mindset, that same way. And going back to what my brother just said, you got to think about this thing. You want to actually try to maximize from the highest pinnacle of predictiveness where you are planning. Because in planning means that I'm going to set some goals. Where do we want to be at? Because it goes back to what you said earlier, man of God, about being a visionary, the man being that visionary. But what vision are you bringing, or are you bringing a nightmare, bruh? I just dropped my phone.
And you know what? And then, and sister, when you're talking about having a plan, you're setting goals. You got to have a 6 month plan. You got.
Come on, she done froze up on us. Come on back, sis.
Ooh.
But you got to be a visionary. Come on, sis. You back in?
Am I back yet? Am I back
You
yet? Am
back
I back
in?
yet?
Come on.
All right, I'm back in good. What I'm trying to say is, at that 6 month plan, you need to be revising. You need to go back and examine what has been done, what has not been done. So that might need to be added to the next 6 months. And every time you get to, when you get to the year, you go back and examine that thing. And hold on, what's not done? I need to add this to my. If I have a 6 month, a 1 year, a 3 year, a 5 year, and a 10 year plan. That's how my plan works. Because when something's not done because life happens and life be happening. So sometimes things don't always get done in the time frame that you plan it. So you have to move it to the next phase. That don't mean stop hoping, don't never do it. That means you got to keep planning so till you get it done.
That's right. And you know, it reminds me of what the late Bishop Malvern Simpson used to always say: a man without a vision is just a man taking a walk.
Yes,
That
it
part.
did.
And you know what I got? Walk on by.
Mean.
Boom, 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 boom. Keep walking.
Keep
Because
rolling.
you don't have no
Ooh,
vision. Where
why
are you
she did
taking
not go
me?
to the walk on by?
I had to go to Dionne Warwick, y'all. I had to go
Walk
there.
on
Walk
by.
on by. Just
Mm.
keep moving, because I ain't on that page right there. I ain't in that book. Because again, when you got a vision, you got to have a vision for your relationship. You got to have a vision for your marriage. You got to have a vision for your family. You got to have a vision for your finance. You have a vision for what y'all plan on doing. Back to what my sister said, you got to set some goals within that vision. How we gonna
Mm-hmm.
get there? And then you have to go back and reevaluate every single year. Hopefully, most people go and do an annual checkup.
Ooh,
When
come
last
on.
time you checked your relationship? When last time you found your relationship on the spiritual examining table?
Ooh,
Your
open up.
marriage, your
Mm.
relationship. Kitty, hey, come on through, man of God.
I,
He got some. He holding something back there. You can see
the,
it. You see the wheels turning. Come
They
on here,
turning,
bro.
aren't they? They
Yeah,
turning.
they
Come
turn.
on.
He like, come
no,
on here, bro.
what I was really thinking was, do you really want to be on a journey with somebody that's taking a long walk off a short bridge?
Ooh.
Like,
I'm
do you?
gonna have to put that up here.
Do you know?
Say that one more time.
Do
A
you
long walk on a short
on a
bridge.
short bridge? You going for a long walk on a short bridge, and
Why
it's
that sound like you saying they not going nowhere?
and fast, going nowhere fast.
Oh, dude, Jesus.
And me as the giver, am I giving my time to someone who is on a useless journey? Am I giving of not just my time, but my advice? Am I giving not just time, but my mind, my space? And am I giving of space? Am I allowing somebody to occupy space within myself that are not deserving of that space and or the amount that they're given? Maybe they do need to give some space. Maybe God got me interceding. Okay, cool, no worries. but how much space am I giving?
That's right. You better limit it.
And you know, that's a good question, because sometimes we give more space than we should.
Yeah.
And God has not called us to giving that kind of space. And then when we give more space, it messes with our peace.
Ooh, because
now
space, yeah.
Go ahead, sis. Go ahead, sis.
I was going to piggyback up on that space process that you just said, because that space leads you to an expectation.
That's it.
Which goes back to the giving and receiving, because now you feel like I done gave you of my space. I done let you set up shop in my mind, in my emotions, in my spirit. I done let you set up shop. And now I got an expectation and you ain't coming through with my expectation. Now I'm mad with you. I'm ready to throw them hands. I'm ready to say, try Jesus, not me, because I throw hands. So you're ready to go there because you have willingly given somebody some time, some space to set up shop that you can't get no reciprocity from, and because you have an expectation from that individual. Let it go.
Yes.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let me go and put that up.
Here's what, you know what's wild? Without the and you mentioned this a little bit ago, Lady Rhonda. Without proper assessment, I think we've had it here in the chat as well. I think El Boogie, Lady LaShonda has mentioned. I think my honey, Lady B, has mentioned. I'm pretty sure that also Kay, I think Kay has mentioned it as well. Without proper assessment, you could have potentially given to someone that cannot give to you in return beyond what they know, what they understand, beyond their capability and capacity to give. And like you said, Dr. Candace, if we haven't talked, this goes back to what week number 3 when we first started Fire and Desire. If we do not communicate with one another at the inception of relationships, right? Again, any relationship, at the beginning of this relationship, if there is not an assessment made and an understanding had, then someone is going to end up being misused, because you're going to end up getting upset with the person who can't give to you beyond their capacity or capability, because you have set forth a standard that hasn't been expressed. There's an expectation that was not expressed. So now you gotta build these boundaries and walls and parameters. You gotta put this stuff in place now. You gotta do it now, because you didn't do it before.
Right now.
And it wouldn't even been nothing to have to do before, because we would have had an understanding. I know at this time and at this place.
And don't the word tells us, man of God, Jesus is giving come on, and all thy getting, get understanding. Doesn't it tell us that?
A what now? A whole understanding.
All understanding. So if, like you just said, if we don't have the understanding in the beginning, and now you're in the middle of this thing or coming out towards the end of this thing, and you trying to get some understanding. First of all, you miss all the red flags on the play. You turned them all green. Well, none of them working. What you just said a little bit ago, sis? You said, I said you be done missed it. And sis said, you be done missed it. You done missed all the, but in all your getting, get understanding. So if you can't get no understanding from day one, then I'm going to admonish you not to even enter into it, because you have to get some understanding. You have to come together and communicate, collaborate, make sure that everybody that's involved knows what's happening and what's going on and what needs to happen.
Right. So you're giving so that your giving can traverse the levels, right? So it can go from just being reactionary to being responsive to being predictive, right? And so your receiving can traverse the levels, go from being reactionary, responsive to predictive, so that we're moving with wisdom and that we don't end up with dysfunctional giving or receiving. So at the end of the day, the giving or the receiving, either way, it comes back to you. The giving or the receiving comes back to you.
And then when you say it comes back to you, it comes to my mind, the seed that you sow, you should also reap.
Yes. Well, there's that part as well. Ouch.
You know, the seed that you sow, you should also reap. So if you're going to be a taker, remember there's somebody that's going that the seed that you sow, you should also reap. If
You
you're
better
all
say that.
if somebody gonna take from you just like you taking from somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
That's
you
right.
have to be careful as a taker that you are constantly taking from people. You're draining people. You're taking everything that they got, but you're not willing to give. And then when you get it, what are you doing with what you have taken? Because sometimes you don't even know how to operate in what you took.
And always the taker have to realize too that you may sow an apple seed, but you're not just going to get one apple. You're going to get an apple tree. And in every apple on that tree is more seeds. So it's always come at the harvest is always greater than the seeds you sown. And
Ooh.
so the both on a giver and a receiver. If that giver is giving and
Mm-hmm.
you giving so much and so on and so forth, you want to do what my brother said. You want to give with wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Move with wisdom is what he said. I just put that up here. You got to move with wisdom. But also, I want to say this too, because on the giver, the receiver side or the taker side, you got to realize that if you're taking, as my sister just said, you're going to reap because you're going to reap what you are receiving. If that's all you're doing is taking, somebody you're going to run into, baby, they're going to drain you. You're going to be dry. But I wanted to say this too, y'all. We got to get up out of here. But I wanted to talk about that people have learned to put up fronts.
Oh.
They put up fronts. They come out the gate. They may dress it up well. They may speak it well. They may even present it well. But some folks is riding around in stolen vehicles, borrowed vehicles. But they trying to show you like they got it going on.com and they borrowed their friend's vehicle. Yeah, I'm riding up in this Mercedes. It don't even belong to them. It's borrowed. They wearing borrowed clothes. Baby, this is why you got to study, folks. You got to pray so you can stay. You got to fast so you can last. You got to seek God about that relationship. Before you say, I do, listen, I want to tell you on tomorrow night, I'm going to need you to get up over there to Pastor Ken and Lady B. I'm going to need you to get up on that podcast because they're going to tell you about what you didn't know about marriage, what you wasn't told about marriage on Friday night, every Friday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here live on Facebook. You want to join in. But I want to tell you, you want to make sure that you understand the balance, as my sister said, the balance and the boundaries of giving and receiving. And you want to start everything off, first of all, with God. It should be in the middle of with God. It should be at the end with God.
I'm going to just say this, sis. I'm just going to say this because what you just said, all I heard was, will the real person please step forward? Will the real person, see, when you said you riding in somebody else's car, you perpetrating a fraud, you trying to show up like you something and you ain't, I ain't gonna say you ain't nothing, but you ain't got it going on like you're trying to show like you got to go. Will the real person please step forward? Please step up. You remember that game show they used to always say, will the real person please come forward? They were called, they had 3 people up there and they was all the same names and all that old stuff. And they were trying to figure out who was the real person. Because I need you to be real. You need to step up and be real. Come to the table with the realness. Don't come to the table perpetrating a fraud, wearing somebody else's clothes, riding around somebody else's Benz, acting like you got a bankroll and you ain't got nothing but a couple pennies in your pocket.
And let me say this at the end, because to me, the most important thing for me, this Candace, it is your integrity. Your integrity got to be longer than your money.
Come on here now.
I say your integrity must be longer than your coins, your dollars, your Benjamins, your Ulysses, your integrity, your character. Because here's the thing, we can always make money. But what about your integrity? Because a lot of people got some long dollars, but their integrity is in the bushes.
Their character is toe up from the flow up.
That right there.
Come on here, get that character together.
Kenny just like, what you say now?
Because you know what, and I know we about to close. But Dr. Candace,
come on, Pastor.
Because we said we promised that we would be we would be real. And if it got raw, then it got raw, respectfully. But what I heard, for real, Dr. Candace, just because that thing be thinging,
come on.
if your integrity doesn't match, if your character doesn't, if your character and your integrity isn't bigger than your member, then she don't need your member. Sweetheart, you don't need his member. Just because he can slang it don't mean nothing if he doesn't have anything to back it up. If he doesn't have a man after God's own heart to be able to back up that thing, then it's just a useless piece of meat. Because it's not going to produce a family. It's going to produce a problem, a failure, a host of failures. You're not going to be able to rely on who that thing is attached to be a man or a husband. Right? You're not going to be able to rely on them to do that, because all you got focused on was what he can slang. That's a problem. That's a problem. Don't get caught up.
I was going to say something, but don't get caught up. But we got to get up out of here.
We got to get up out of here.
I'm going to hold my mule to Tuesday.
I ain't going to say nothing else.
I'm going to hold my mule to Tuesday. Come back on Tuesday, because she just messed me up with the hangy thingy. I am just too thrown up with that. But look, we thank you for joining us on tonight, joining in the conversation of a giver and a taker. We're going to take this up on Tuesday. We're going to finish it up, guys. We're going to finish it up on Pastor and Dr. Candace. We're going to finish it up on Tuesday. Join us again. We appreciate you. We ask the Lord to bless you and keep you until we meet again. And you have a wonderful and blessed night. See you later.
Don't forget to see you in the morning for morning's muffin.
Morning platter.
Is it morning? It's morning platter.
Morning platter. Listen.
Come on here now.
Okay.
Morning platter. The muffin has grown. It couldn't stay a muffin any longer. It started off as a muffin, and now it's a platter. Come on here now. So y'all come on. Don't forget your bibs. Come to the table with your fork in your table. Come with this fork in your plate so that you can eat in the morning with the morning platter with none other than Dr. Candace Williams. Yes. And don't forget about Pastor Ken and Lady Brandy on tomorrow at 7 on their fire and on their podcast. Yeah. What you don't know about marriage. I'm telling you, it's bad, because I done been on it. Yes. So, and also we want to ask you to do something else. Become an instant evangelist. Tag, share, and invite this broadcast. Tag, share, and invite in the morning for morning platter. And tag, share, invite for my brother and my sister on tomorrow night. You don't want to miss the conversation. Always want you to join in. Have a blessed night.